welcome to another episode of the Superbold podcast. I'm Fred Joyal, and I dig deep into the lives of people who've made bold moves in their lives, and also some of the times when they didn't step up and they hesitated and they missed out on something that turned into a regret down the line. And today I'm very excited about this conversation because I love talking to bold women, and Emily Kendel is one of them. She has worked in the beauty industry for over 25 years and also managed to be raising 5 kids at the same time. And she has a business called the Spa Project that we're going to dive into, which is a consulting firm for people who run spas, healthcare spas and stuff. Emily, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Fred. I'm so glad to be here. I appreciate it. And thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
So how did you get started in the spa business? Let's start right there.
Okay. Well, to kind of just jump right in and talk about the time I wasn't doing so great in my life, which was high school. And I recently just started talking about this, but I didn't finish high school. And about 19 years old, I had a good friend of
Well,
mine.
I'm sorry, I didn't tell you there was an education requirement for the podcast, so we have to stop now. No, I mean,
Yeah.
you were way ahead of time. Now people aren't finishing high school and starting giant AI businesses.
Yeah, so I feel kind of cool now. I used to think, oh my God, I'm a loser. No one's ever going to work with me. And it really held me back,
Yeah, sure.
and now I'm like, okay, I'm part of the game here. But yeah, it did. It was just something that happened, and I just wasn't into it and didn't go. But I started college the same year that the rest of my class started, and then realized that was also not for me at the time. And
You and teachers are not working out, it sounds
it's
like.
I worked. I had my own apartment and I had multiple jobs, and I just wanted to work and just kind of be free and figure out what I wanted to do. I never really had mentors or anyone to kind of teach me and direct me, and had to figure it out. But I did have a friend who was a massage therapist, and so I was 19, and she just started. She was like, she was practicing massages and was like, "Hey, I need a model. Would you model for me?" And like, I got to learn these treatments. I got hired at this job, and I was like, "Sure," And I didn't grow up in this spa environment. So I was like, cool, that sounds kind of cool. I'll go to the spa for free and get a free massage. And that introduced me to it. And before I knew it, I went to visit a school one day, and they, this dog won't quit.
I know that if you're wondering what that sound is, it's the dog, that's not happy about somebody daring to walk around outside Emily's house, and they
Yeah.
need to be disciplined. So,
No,
that's fine. These things happen. That's how you know it's live and real.
Yeah, we're real, and so is the dog. And she hasn't made a sound at all today until now. So anyway, there we go. We got quietness. So I decided to go check out the school, and before I could leave, they had me signed up as an esthetician. And so I started my journey in the aesthetic world at 19 years old and got through that. Thank goodness I did, because I needed to feel like I could complete something and finish, even if I used that, or not. It was just something that I achieved. And then around age 21, I got pregnant with my oldest daughter, and was not in a situation to have any children. And so that was a pretty bold move to keep going. I'm so glad I did. But at the age of 24, I was single mom. And at that point I had 2 daughters, and was just left kind of a bad situation, and had these 2 little girls. They were 1 and 2. I was 24, just like, what am I going to do with myself? And now I've got these kids I've got to take care of.
So
And
let me stop you here, because there must have been, is there a husband in this that when you first got pregnant? Uh,
he was a boyfriend and
yeah,
then quickly turned into a husband and then quickly it
turned
just
into a jerk. No,
yeah, it didn't work out.
yeah. So, but I mean, at that age, with by the time you've had two kids, it's a bold thing for a woman to say, but this isn't working for me. I don't know how I'm going to make this life uh, play out, but I have to get out. And so uh, once again, I look at the challenges that we face in life, and we could either, there's so many people that accept the fact that, like, oh, well, I'm married and I don't know what I'm going to do, so
Yeah.
I got to stay married.
Yeah.
So how did tell me how Emily's mind worked when you got to that decision?
Well, it was an abusive situation and he was also on drugs and alcohol and I wasn't working. I had no money and I really just I had nothing and it was not getting any better. Anytime I would work and save money, it would be taken and spent and feel, it was really bad. There were times we didn't even have utilities. Like my second daughter, she was born in January, and I remember it being February, and our gas got turned off, and he would leave for days. And and when you're in that situation, and now I'm like 20 something years older, and it's just like you you get trapped in those situations. And I grew up without a father. And so I wanted it so hard to work out because I wanted my children to have a father. And, without having any education, I just felt like I'm worthless, so I was in this like whole thing for several years. And then, um, I don't know if it was like if it had to been God and divine, like one day he came, we ended up moving. I kind of left and came back a few times, and the straw that finally broke was me moving away, and he followed me. Uh, we're getting so deep, but it's good.
No,
uh,
this is what
yeah,
people want to understand, is like,
yeah,
because your pathway out is pretty phenomenal. Uh,
yeah. Because at that point in my life, I mean, it was not looking good for Emily. The people that loved me were just like, okay, well, she sure did screw up. And now, it's like that just appeared to be the way the rest of my life was going to be. And something happened. And he came home from work one day and said he had quit he quit his job. And now I kind of think maybe he got fired, but either way, we instantly, within 24 hours, had to move back to Memphis, where I'm originally from. And, years later, I found out kind of the truth behind that. But when we moved back, my mom was so relieved. And she just said, whatever you got to do, I'm going to help you figure it out. Well, so we were still together for a couple more weeks when we moved back. And I don't know, just something came over me and I finally just had enough and just left. And he didn't fight me anymore and he let me go. And so I had no money. I had no furniture. I had nothing. I didn't really want it. I just let him keep pretty much everything. And we didn't have much anyway. It was a very simple divorce. And here I was. I think I started waiting tables at night and bartending some. And my mom let me live with her for a few months until I could, um, get enough money to get an apartment for the three of us. And also during that time, I went to visit a friend of mine who owned a salon. And I was just like, wanted to let her know and the other girls that worked there that I was back in town because I used to work for them a little bit and that I, wanted to let them know I finally left him and the girls needed a haircut. So, we went in there and one of my teachers from beauty school was working there and she was at the front desk as soon as I walked in and she had quit teaching and started a company and it was all about eyebrows and she had this huge brow business tweezing eyebrows and everything, and it was actually really cool and she had was like, Emily, I am so busy, I'm moving to Nashville, I'm getting married, I need someone to take over my business. And I was just like, what? Yeah, I mean, I'm like, yes, yes. So it was just an amazing situation. Later I realized that when I decided to let him go and let this just crutch, this horrible thing go, it was like immediately opportunities opened up for me. It was just amazing. And so
Well, so yeah, so again, this is the amazing thing that I have found over and over and over again in people's lives, and certainly in my life. When you're bold enough to say, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm not staying here.
yeah,
I'm not going to keep doing this. I'm quitting this relationship. I'm quitting this job. Whatever it is, and you sort of like say, I'm not going backwards anymore. Call it God, call it the universe, whatever. Says, oh, uh, you're finally ready,
yeah,
and here's the unexpected reward. And it sometimes it happens so closely, like it did for you, that you say, wow, so this is actually how it works.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. I mean, it was within a week or two of. I mean, I don't even
That's
remember.
incredible. Yeah.
It was so soon, like after, and it was just like, oh my gosh, okay, this is what life can be like. This is amazing. Like opportunities really do happen, good ones, and um, jump on it. And I wasn't gonna get that type of opportunity staying where I was. So yeah, it was pretty amazing. And then it just helped me get into, my career. It really took my career off and I, changed avenues in what I was doing. Years later, I was remarried and ended up opening up my own beauty. I, I called it an aesthetic like studios, kind of like a spa. We did, facials and skincare services, but it was mostly makeup and brows and just the kind of the whole thing. It was a really fun place. I started doing a lot of TV commercials as a makeup artist and worked on a couple movies and I got to work with a lot of celebrities during that time, and it was a lot of fun. Just yeah,
A lot of these celebrities, they need brow work, because
yeah.
they're in high definition, and like that unibrow sticks out. Uh,
Okay, I got a funny story for you. True
okay.
story. Okay, so one time I was on set with Morgan Freeman. All right, we were doing a commercial for St. Jude, and I don't know if you've seen those commercials, but for several years I did a lot of those St. Jude commercials. Anyway, so on
This is
set,
St. Jude's Hospital, the
yeah,
charity organization.
yes, and so when you're the makeup artist on set, no one knows your name. You're just called makeup. Okay, so all of a sudden I was doing his makeup that day, and so all of a sudden I hear my name, makeup, makeup, come here. And so I go out, I look in the monitor and someone points to his nose and they're like, he had a
Yeah.
booger. I had to go and pick
Nice.
the
Nice.
booger, yeah, on set in front of him without feeling weird. It was
Now, did you keep it?
awkward. I should have. I
I
should
know. These days, think of what we could be selling that for. You know.
exactly.
Yeah. Uh,
Exactly. That is really funny.
Well, yeah, that is what happens. I've done a whole bunch of commercials myself, and I had a makeup person who was very comfortable plucking a couple of my nose hairs out, which
Yeah.
made my eyes water, as you know. But I appreciated that she was, saw that as part of her responsibility and took care
Yeah.
of it.
Well, we got to take care of you.
Yeah.
Make sure you're looking good.
And so you added three more kids to the mix over the years.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, Found a much better husband, I'm assuming.
Much better husband. It's been a journey. The youngest is she's 4 and she'll be 5 in December. And when we found out we're pregnant with her, she was diagnosed with spina bifida. So that was an interesting time in my life that kind of really to kind of go deeper into the story. It's been hard to talk about, but more bold moves here. The second marriage did not last. Had a few more children and two. Good guy, we don't have to get into it, but it didn't work out. But
Yeah, we
we
don't
like
have to slander him like the first
no,
guy,
no,
which
no,
is
no.
weird, right?
Yeah, no, he's a great dad, and my son and my daughter absolutely adore him, and he has a great family. Um, but so third time's a charm. Here we go. Here we go. And so in between those two situations, I ended up closing my business and going to work for the bigger med spa that bought my business. And during that experience of business ownership is where I was really had to learn how to be bold and start learning, because there were a lot of business skills I just didn't have. I um had a great amount of clients that I had built up over the years just from meeting people and people liking what I did, and they stuck with me. And the day that I opened my brick and mortar, I had 500 clients. So thought that was a huge win, and I wasn't really thinking too far in the future. I was just going to rent this space and do some eyebrows. And before I knew it, I fell in love with business and found something I was good at, and people liked it. And so I just got fascinated with learning how to run it. And, you know, as a business owner, that it you don't know what you don't know until you need to know it. And
Yes.
so
Sometimes desperately need to know it. Yeah.
desperately need to know it.
Immediately need to know
Yes,
it.
yes. But it really inspired my love for business and wanting to help other people grow their businesses and figure out what the problems are. And, and as you start doing it for years and years, you start to see a lot of patterns and similarities in the way businesses run. And so when I sold the business and went and worked for the other bigger med spa that bought me out, I was hired just as a service provider. I was just going to go do skincare and facials there and kind of take a break. Even secretly wanting to still help other business owners. And just this whole coaching idea was just kind of a dream at that point. But a few months in, working for this lady, he promoted me to aesthetic director, and I was helping her manage all the service providers. And then several months down the road, she came to me one day and she said, "Emily, payroll is due, and I've got $11,000 in the bank." And payroll at the time was like almost 40,000 a month. She was freaking out. What am I going to do? And I'm like, I don't want to know this. I sold my business so I don't have to deal with this anymore, And so the next day I made her an offer to take over her finances and business operations. And she said yes. So, oh, it was a lot of
Now
work.
yeah. Check off next bold move here.
Yeah.
To take on a business that is financially struggling, like down to the wire. You can't make payroll the state's not happy with you, and your employees have recourse. So that's perilous.
Yeah.
So to take that on is a pretty bold move right there once again. But at this point, your boldness muscle is so strong that you go like, oh yeah, why not? I'm just going in. I know what's going to happen. It's going to be better, you know.
No, I got to give credit. I did. I called a business coach mentor of mine um, that afternoon, like after she approached me, and I got to say, he's the one was like, Emily, you can help her. Get in there tomorrow and tell her that you want to be her CFO. And I did. And I mean, I'm this high school dropout with no college education. And that was a big, bold move. And I got that
Yeah.
title, CFO, even though I
Now,
probably
did you, once you started running these businesses, did you get any sort of formalized education on business, or was it all just figuring out as you go?
figuring it out as I go.
Yeah, you prefer the
Taking,
school of hard knocks, apparently. Yeah,
yeah, the School of Hard Knocks and a lot of reading, a lot
yeah,
of reading,
okay,
a lot
yeah.
of reading. I mean, I learned how to do Excel when I was on maternity leave with my fourth child by watching YouTube videos.
Well,
You know,
and you did have the advantage of being pregnant a lot, so there's all this studying time that you created for yourself.
well, I wouldn't say that. I probably went back to work around after the babies were like 4 or 5 weeks old. Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm sure you did. Yeah.
yeah. No, but it was a bold move and she went for it and we really were able to turn a lot of things around over some time and it was pretty incredible and just kind of verified that I definitely wanted to continue to pursue having my own coaching business, consulting business one day. And so that eventually kind of phased out where I decided I wanted to kind of do my own thing again. And I did, and I failed at that. It was not very good in the beginning. Had a hard time communicating how I could help people. And, you know,
Because suddenly you had to market yourself, which everything else has kind of fallen into your lap when you stepped into it. Not easily necessarily, and you learned as you went, but you didn't have to promote yourself. Yeah, this
yeah,
is your new challenge.
yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, all of my clients were referrals because people could see their beautiful eyebrows and, they just came straight to me, and it was a blessing. This time I had to take it a step further and, that still took me a few more years. And in that process, I found out I was pregnant with my youngest. And when I was 20 weeks pregnant with her, we found out she had spina bifida. And I had no
Now,
idea.
what is that exactly?
Yeah. So I had no idea what it was. But it is a neurotube defect. So when baby is being formed around 8 weeks, your spine is one of the first things to be formed. And the lower portion of her spine, the L5 to S1, those bones, close. Well, hers stayed open in that area. And so what happens is the skin around those bones, like your spine, it doesn't close. So she was being developed with a hole basically in her back. So the spine, the nerves, with some of these babies, they can actually come outside of the body and just kind of hang out in the amniotic fluid in the sac. And what can happen also is that the amniotic fluid can go inside of the body. And a lot of these babies, the majority of them are paralyzed from the waist down, end up having to have catheters most of their life, all of their life. A lot of them have hydrocephalus and will have to have brain surgeries, as soon as they're born and throughout their life. There's a lot of, it really affects the majority of the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were told right away, terminate the baby. We were also given an opportunity to go to Houston and see if we qualified for open fetal surgery. And so, open fetal surgery would give her a 40% better outcome, which they really couldn't even tell you what the outcome would be. They give you the most horrible diagnosis. She could die. She could be a vegetable. She could never walk, all these things. And even if she has the surgery, we still don't know what things will be like when she's born. So I qualified for surgery, made a bold move, even though family members wanted me to terminate the baby. That was really hard. I went for it. I did the surgery, and everything went really well. And when she was born, we were told to expect to stay in the hospital for 8 weeks. Like I said, brain surgery a few days after she's born, all of these things.
What's
And
her name, by the way?
Danielle.
Danielle. Okay.
Well, Danielle didn't even have to go to the NICU. We were able to bring her home in 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she walks.
Okay.
She's
Yeah.
a miracle. She's, we still have some struggles. She's been a little delayed with some speech, and she uses a walker and a wheelchair on occasion, for long distance walking. That's hard on her. But if you didn't know it, she looks and acts like a regular kid. I mean, she's amazing, and she really has been a blessing to this family. So it's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, and that's one of the boldest moves you could possibly make, is to say, everybody's giving me some really bad outcomes here.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do what I can. And, my mom, actually, my older brother had polio as an infant. He was in the last polio epidemic. And my mom was determined to do everything possible. They said he'd never walk again. He'd probably never be able to rotate his head. Well, none of that was the outcome. He was an auto mechanic when he was 17, 18, 19, despite all sorts of impairments. But she just did everything humanly possible, despite the fact that my dad was a mail carrier and she was, a dental assistant. And it made all the difference. They had all sorts of incredibly discouraging things, and she said, "No, we're gonna find the best doctors." And I mean, and that's just one of the hardest things, because it's heartbreaking. And you say, do I really want to torture this child with the life that they're describing? But you made the bold move, not really not knowing the outcome, and nobody telling you. I mean, the other bold moves you made, nobody told you, oh, there's going to be potentially a really bad outcome here. This a really challenging outcome. But now you have Danielle, who is a gift to everyone, and everybody that's, and you get to, every time her birthday comes around, you get to tell all these people who, said the Terminator. It's like, you guys got to step up, like you weren't even going to let her be around. And now, you got to pay for college. I want
Yeah.
you donating to the 529 fund for Danielle.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a beautiful thing. I'm so impressed with you and the bravery that takes to not know, and also to do what is incredibly, fetal surgery is incredibly risky. One of my friends, his wife is a natal surgeon, fetal surgeon.
Okay.
And yeah, and scary.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I didn't even explain what that was. Most people don't know what open fetal surgery is, and you do. But yeah, they basically, I was 25 weeks pregnant, and they they do like a C-section, but they do a classical section incision, so it's a much bigger and horizontal or vertical.
Right. It's not like it's a radical C,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they basically birth the placenta, open, do an incision there, and then birth the babies, the section where they're going to do the surgery. So it was like just like right at the top of her butt crack and the lower part of her, back, and then do surgery and then put her back in and sewed me up, and we had to hang out in Houston for about a month. But yeah, it was
Who
incredible.
is crazy enough to learn to do that surgery? It sounds
Right?
like the most scary thing imaginable.
Yeah.
Because and she's 20 weeks, right, Danielle, at this point.
Yeah, 25 when the day of the surgery, and there's definitely a very short window in which they will, do the surgery. Yeah, and it's still pretty new. I think the hospital that we went to, they've only been doing that surgery for about 10 years, and she was the 104th patient. They did that. Yeah.
Well, I hope to meet her someday now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to show you a picture next time I see you. But yeah, she's incredible, and it was. I appreciate what you saying. Just all of that, the bold moves, and the family members, all that. I forgive them.
Yeah, of course.
One of
Because
those.
they're worried about you and as
Exactly.
primarily and
Yeah.
what you're going to be going through. So I understand they're coming from a loving place, but sometimes the boldest move is takes an enormous amount of courage.
Yes.
Because you really don't know how it's going to go, and nobody's telling you this is going to go well.
Right. Everyone's telling you it's going to be horrible, and and I feel the same way with my business now, and it's taking off and it's a success. And I don't know how many naysayers and people in my life were like, "You're crazy. You don't even like why what are you even doing? Like you have no business doing this." And they're so wrong. And I'm so glad I've listened to myself. I mean, I just so anyone listening, if you're dealing with that,
Yeah, I mean, there are naysayers that are trying to protect you because they love you. There are naysayers that don't want you to succeed because they're not taking any risks in their life and they're miserable
absolutely.
or just, don't feel they deserve anything, and they sure don't want to see you get ahead. They don't want to watch you succeed, so they're trying to hold you back. So there's the whole array of those people. um, when my partner and I started 1-800-Dentist many years ago, everyone told me it wasn't going to work, including my former boss in the ad agency. He said that'll never work. Now this is a guy with 30 years in the advertising world telling me my advertising business isn't going to work. And I'm sure every year that we spent more and more on television and he kept seeing the ads, I wonder if he was saying, I think it's working.
Yeah.
But yeah, naysayers, for those of us bold enough to chase our dreams, that's just motivation to prove them wrong, and appreciate their concern for you, but say, I'm going anyway. I'm doing it anyway because I can't live with not trying it.
I absolutely 1,000% agree with you. And that's how I can forgive those people because they love me and they care about me and want me to be healthy and happy. But I would not be able to live with myself if I didn't fulfill these, you know, plans or visions or goals or anything that I have within me or just yeah.
Yeah. What I say in my book and what I say when I lecture to people is bold people can live with trying and failing. They just can't live with not trying because they don't want the regret, because they
Yeah.
don't have a regret. If they try and fail, they don't have a regret
Yeah.
because they tried. They gave it everything they had and it didn't work.
You are so right.
Yeah.
And that is true.
Yeah. And so now you have Spa Project, which is your consulting business, which is thriving, I assume.
Absolutely, yes. About a year after Danielle was born, I decided, well, when she was born, I was like, we don't really know what's going to happen. I'm just going to stay home and take care of her and the other kids. And so that's what I did. And then at about a year, when she turned about a year old, I was like, oh my God, I miss working because I've worked my whole life. I've never been a stay at home mom. And so that was a huge adjustment for me, especially having all these goals that I want to achieve and not really getting to work towards them was real difficult. But it was a blessing also in disguise because it allowed me to think really hard about how am I going to help people in the world and kind of creating that offer and putting it all together. And we have one of the same mentors, and that helped me tremendously.
Yeah.
But you know, it's been crazy because the last year and a half, it's finally taken off, and I've been interviewing some people the last couple of days and kind of grow my team. And I don't know, it's been a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And I'm kind of still at that point where, this is fun for me. I don't really have to do it. It's really a passion and a love. And this is a new place for me as well, where I'm not working in a panic. I'm not working because I'm trying to survive. I'm doing it because I really truly want to help other people, and I've got the experience and I don't want to waste it. So it's a really, really cool place to be. But Spa Project is, it's a program that it's a group coaching program to really help med spa owners learn how to run their businesses. Um, it's a pretty comprehensive. I mean, it's all of the things. So I teach in 3 phases, and the first phase is all about knowing your numbers and really just the fundamentals, because that's where I came from. When I didn't have this business degree, I didn't know how to run a business, and when it was time to restructure things in mine and other people's businesses, what were the patterns that kept coming up? And it was the money and the numbers and the data and the KPIs and all those not so much fun things for people, but they were for me. I found out I love spreadsheets. And so through that, I created a lot of tools, you know.
It's
um,
an amazing thing to learn to love because it
yeah.
is a phenomenal tool.
Well, when I realized, like, I put a dollar sign on my adding and subtracting, it made it a lot more fun. Math became way more fun. So yeah. So, but that's the first phase is all about the fundamentals of running a business, numbers and operations. And then we get into the second phase, which is all about sales and communication and just building relationships with clients and building up your team. And when you're solid in your numbers and know that your services are profitable and you are know how to talk about the things that you're offering to people, it makes it so much easier to sell. That's when you're ready for marketing. I don't know how many people I run into that have spent thousands of dollars on ads, and when the calls come in, they don't even know what it is they're selling. They don't even know how to talk about it, and then it's just kind of a waste. And so just I help them get kind of restructured and focused and figure out um, where they need to be. What should they be working on right now? And let's put it all back in order and get it going. And it's a lot of fun.
Good for you. This is an amazing story. So if people wanted to get a hold of you, Emily, spaproject.com is your website.
Yes. Yes. You can email me at emily@spaproject.com. Go to the website. Also on Instagram, emily.kendel and Spa Project Consulting. So Yeah.
Wonderful. Emily, what a fantastic story, and so inspiring for women to be bolder and chase their dreams and not let somebody stop them, and also to not feel unworthy because of your education, because of where you started. Where you started didn't hold you back from where you were going. And that's, I think, the most impressive thing about you, among all the many impressive things.
Well, Fred, I really appreciate that. And I thank you for letting me talk about that, because those aren't things I normally bring up in conversation. But I really appreciate you giving me a space to share that part of my life.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. Track down Emily if you're running a med spa and you're trying to figure out how to make it work a whole lot better. And I hope you're as inspired by her story as I am. And so go out there and start living your super bold life. Thanks, Emily.
You're welcome. Thanks, Fred.